anger in that. That has a boomerang effect. Whenever you put that energy out, it comes back to you. So here, really, truly, we need to go into the warrior mode of the spiritual warrior. And the spiritual warrior does not add energy to its intent that creates that kind of boomerang effect. It just puts the intent out and is neutral and then lets it go as far as the results are concerned and allows for the highest good to unfold as is supposed to in the higher plan, without getting into these guys are bad and need to be punished, or forget that. All that we're doing is to say, okay, if this energy is not for the highest good that is being gathered here, can we ask for it to be neutralized, please? Okay.
Right.
And in doing that, you take your own personality out of it, you put it into the higher consciousness, into the higher realms, and you allow for whatever the best outcome needs to be. And you don't even need to know what this outcome is. Like, you don't even need to know what the best outcome is, because from the point of view of the personality self, we very often do not know what is the best outcome, right?
Right, yeah.
Because all events have a purpose, even dark ones sometimes have a purpose towards larger consciousness and awakening, right?
Yeah, yep.
And we, at this level of the personality, we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's best to intend it for the highest good and then surrender outcomes, okay? And to stay out of conflict, ego, and battle type attitudes, okay?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, I think one of the things that can really be advantageous for people in general that can be empowering and sort of, for lack, I don't want to use the term take the power back, because that's kind of an illusion, but take the edge off of it. Somehow art has got to be a part of this, and somehow turning the spectacle into art diffuses the spectacle. So whether it's through illustration or through music or through song, over in Britain they call it taking the piss out of something, right? I mean, so we've got to be, and this is what I thought was great about Charlie's early work, is that it was artistic, it was creative, it was situationist, and it had a very different vibe than it does now. And now he's really entrenched in polarity and polarization.
Well, now he thinks he's Che Guevara. Do you know what I mean? Like he's,
even the shirt. I mean, he was wearing that green army shirt. It's like,
and I still love Charlie. I think he's great. But this is a phase he's going through, and it's a phase that's going to slap him until he evolves out of it.
So I think for us, the way that we deal with it is through art, and art has a very broad application. You can have art as ritual. Burning Man is a living piece of art. That is one way of dealing sort of with our own kind of reality construct around power and change and empowerment and all. I mean, but there's a lot of different things that you can do as an individual to offset this in your own way, and you could do it by yourself. You can do it with a group of people. I think the big thing, and you're kind of ahead of the curve on this, is people have got to get away from their TVs. Television is, it's a cliche, but it's really a tool of entrainment, and keeps us from being artistic and creative and linking up with other people in order to do that. So, and what were people doing around the world? They were zoned in on their TVs during the royal wedding.
Yeah.
I was listening to a sports talk show the other night as I was in my car driving across a bridge, and these guys are into football or into baseball, and they spend a good 10 minutes talking about how they're going to go home and watch the royal wedding. I mean, this is how deep this meme has been, just entrenched in our consciousness.
Yeah, and they do it from wedding to wedding. And I was reading something saying that the inaugural thing for the president here in the United States is a very similar thing. It's a similar thing.
Yeah.
No matter who gets elected and no matter who they are, there is this ritual of crowning, It's a crowning ritual, right?
Yeah.
And it has the same effect. Everybody is watching it. Even everybody in the world is watching it. And I think Obama's one in particular, I remember watching that and thinking, what in the world is going on here? Because the guy, I shouldn't call him the guy, the president, he was walking around with Michelle,
right,
waving around as if he were a king or an emperor. That was not a presidential. That was not there was something other going on there.
Absolutely.
He was
absolutely
doing it in a way that an emperor would. He was doing it in a way that a royal would. He was not doing it in the way that an elected official would.
Well,
there was a whole extra bump in there. Aside from also the fact that he messed up the vow, and then they had to redo it, and they
had to go redo it down in the basement using the
in the basement
Bible.
In the underground Masonic chamber.
Yeah.
And nobody was a witness to that, and who knows what he swore to.
Exactly.
Right?
How bizarre was that?
That was very odd, wasn't it?
Very, very odd. Well, absolutely. Yeah, and you know,
it's people like us that observe those kind of things, but they kind of go over the heads of a lot of, for lack of a better word, normals. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with normals, but it's like if you learn how to see with this weird X-ray vision that we've trained ourselves to have, then you see all of these things and they're clear as day. But for most people, they don't even blip. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just think the vernacular that's used to address Obama is really interesting because people call him Obama. They don't call him President Obama that much. I mean, people didn't call Bush. They called him President Bush.
Right.
President Bush. But Obama is Obama like a pharaoh, like Obama the First.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is how, he's like Bono or Madonna, he's in
he's got the rock star quality.
The one word title. I'm looking at the chart for the royal wedding, and it went off at 11 o'clock London time. So 11, okay. So it went off at 11 o'clock on the 29th.
That is also 11.
11.
Yep.
In 2011. So we've got 11, 11, 11, which is, of course, 33.
Yep.
Which is the master number. And I'm looking at the chart itself, and Sun in Taurus at 8 degrees, and, of course, the stellium, this massive stellium in Aries that we've been playing with now for most of the month, all together, and all conjunct at some point. Although Venus is not conjunct Jupiter, it's a very wide conjunction, extremely wide, but Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, all conjunct in Aries, and Uranus in Aries, and Moon in Pisces, and it's all, it's not equal house systems, but all those planets are in the 10th and the 9th house.
Right.
So Sun, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, Venus in the 10th house, this coupling would represent, as an astrologer, this is a couple that is born to rule. This is a ruling example of a chart with Aries, domination, will, all up in the 10th house.
Yeah.
So this is not your average couple based on the time of the wedding. Moon and Uranus in the 9th house gives them a wide-ranging, and Uranus in the 9th house, by the way, and I know a little bit about this because I have Uranus in my 9th house, is about the radical reappraisal of belief systems.
Right.
So part of what they're going to do is help people radically reappraise their belief systems. And again, this is all Aries stuff, right? This is all Aryan. They've got a massive stellium in this Aryan sector, or the Aryan configuration of those planets. Then they've got Neptune in Pisces, 0 degrees in the 8th house, very psychic, very occult, very hidden beneath the surface. And then way down at the bottom in the nadir of the chart, straddling the 3rd and the 4th house, Saturn and both of them are going through their Saturn return, by the way. So Saturn right at the cusp of the 4th house, and then in the 5th house they have the true node, which is interesting. True node in Sagittarius in the 5th house. So Sagittarian being broad-minded application of philosophy, and children are going to be a very important part in this marriage.
Yeah.
But the children are good. It's all about leadership and lineage.
Yeah. Yes.
Spiritual lineage, and then lastly Pluto in Capricorn in the 6th house, and that is tremendously engaged in the transformation of work, and a new model of work and a new model of dharma. And again, this is not a private sort of chart. This is a very public chart. This is how these people are going to live their lives. This is what's going to be important to them. And ascendant 1 degree Leo. So this is
that's a royal ascendant.
Very royal ascendant.
Yeah, and also the Pluto in the 6th is almost like in a position of power in daily life. I always see the 6 as what you do every day. Yeah. Right. It's work, but it's not the career. It's what you do day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Like you get up in the morning at 9 o'clock and you do this and that and the other. And so Pluto in the 6th is day in, day out. These people are going to be in a power role. They are going to embody that role on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
I have my very first astrology teacher, right, was somebody that now is published with several books, but at the time wasn't, and she was teaching at the evening classes, free evening classes with the borough, right? Yeah. So I was very lucky and to have a great teacher that was really cheap, right? And she brought out the chart of Prince William often, so I'm quite familiar with it because we actually looked at it several times.
Right.
And I always had the feeling, even then, when I didn't understand, because I started studying astrology before I awoke to this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Like in the mid-90s. And I always had the feeling, even back then, that this was a person that had been born purposely for this role. I don't think that Charles was ever meant to be king. Right. He was meant to be the one that created this one. For some reason, this particular, the moon child and the sun child and the sun king, right? Yeah. He's got both of those things going on at the same time. Yeah. They have plans for this young man. They have plans for him.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and obviously, we will see what they are as they unfold, but they are coming into more focus now, right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So I actually have only about a minute left on the Blog Talk streaming experience. You and I can continue to talk. It'll just be part of the podcast. So let me just do this, because if we want, we can continue to talk about this. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who's been listening to the live broadcast for showing up and chiming in the chat room and listening to Mama Val and of course the wonderful Katie. And I'll be on Monday. I think Erica Ohanan will be back on. She's back here in Pennsylvania, and we'll do some more UFO stuff. So have a great weekend, and use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step in what's possible. You've been listening to the Friday Farcast, and if you're still listening, in the next few minutes, you're listening to the podcast version, which is fine by me anyway. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, and I was saying about that I always felt even back then that he was groomed for a role, like that this was a conscious birth of some kind, a conscious conception and a conscious birth, right? Now I would say of the not so light kind, right? Okay, yeah. Or at least that's the intent, because I see a lot of light in William anyway. So again, it's one of the things that I repeat often. What they plan and what happens is not necessarily the same thing. Just because you have decided to do something, it doesn't mean that it works, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it may be that